Hello, my little friends. Welcome to the Littlestory channel. I'm Bella. Have fun and learn with today's story. Remember, every story has something special to teach you. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you won't miss the new stories. Shall we begin? Once upon a time, there was a young girl named Sophia. She was clever and curious, but she had one little problem: she didn't like doing her homework. But Sophia had an idea. She had a furry best friend, her dog Billy, and decided to use him as an excuse. The first time Sophia went to school without her homework, she told her teacher, "My dog Billy ate my homework." Her teacher chuckled, amused by the classic excuse, and let it slide just this once. After all, who hadn't heard that funny line before? But what do you think will happen next? Will the teacher believe this story every time? Days passed, and Sophia continued using the same excuse whenever she didn't do her homework. Each time, she told her teacher that Billy had chewed it up or buried it in the yard. Eventually, though, her teacher started to become suspicious. She decided it was time to call Sophia's parents and discuss the problem. When Sophia heard about the meeting, her stomach twisted into knots. She hadn't thought her little excuse could turn into such a big issue. Now what? Should she confess the truth to her parents? What do you think Sophia will do? Do you think she'll tell the truth? The day of the meeting arrived, and Sophia's parents sat down with the teacher. The teacher explained that Sophia hadn't been turning in her homework for quite some time and kept blaming it on Billy. Sophia's parents listened, surprised and a bit disappointed to hear about their daughter's behavior. They realized they had to do something to teach Sophia the importance of honesty. When they got home, her parents called Sophia for a serious talk and said, "Sophia, if Billy is causing so many problems, maybe he should go live somewhere else, like on a farm, where he can run free and not eat homework anymore." Sophia's face went pale. Her eyes filled with tears, and her heart sank. She had never thought her little lie could lead to this. Now, she was about to lose her best friend. But, "I don't want Billy to go away," she stammered, her voice trembling with panic. Her parents looked at her, waiting for her to explain, but Sophia was speechless. She realized that her lie had gone too far and that if she wanted to keep Billy, she'd have to make some big changes. So, what do you think will happen now? Will Sophia confess? Will Billy really go to live on a farm? The story doesn't end here. But maybe this is just the beginning of Sophia's journey to learning an important lesson and finding a way to keep her friend by her side. Sophia's heart pounded as she looked at her parents. She couldn't believe that her little lie had grown into such a huge problem. Losing Billy? Her best friend? The thought of him being sent away to a farm, away from her, made her feel like her world was falling apart. As her parents watched her struggle to find the words, her mom said gently, "Sophia, we don't want to do this, but we don't know what else to do. You've been telling everyone that Billy eats your homework, and it's not fair to him or to your teachers." Sophia's chest felt tight, and she started to cry, the kind of deep, quiet sobbing that comes when you realize you've really messed up. She reached for Billy, who was sitting by her side, wagging his tail and looking up at her with those big, trusting eyes. How could she have blamed him for her mistakes? Trembling, she finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean for things to get like this. I didn't want to do my homework, and then I didn't know how to stop lying." Billy licked her hand, as if he understood her sadness. His gentle, loving gesture made her heart ache even more. All this time, he had trusted her, and she had let him down. But what could Sofhia do now? Would her parents forgive her, or would she still have to say goodbye to Billy? Her father knelt beside her, sighing. "Sofhia, we love Billy, too. But you have to understand, we want you to be responsible, to tell the truth, and to do what's right. Billy is innocent in all of this. If you really want him to stay, you'll have to prove to us that you're willing to change." Sofhia nodded, her face wet with tears, as she clutched Billy tightly. "I promise, Dad. I'll do my homework from now on, and I'll never lie about Billy again. Just, please, don't send him away. He's my best friend. I love him." Her parents exchanged a glance, not entirely convinced, but they could see that she was truly remorseful. After a moment, her mother said softly, "All right, Sofhia. We'll give you one last chance. But if you slip up, if you lie again or don't do your work, we'll have to make some hard choices. We don't want to, but we need to be sure you're learning from this." Sofhia hugged her parents tightly, and then hugged Billy, who licked her face, his tail wagging as if he could feel her relief. But even as she held him, a tiny voice inside her wondered, would she be able to keep her promise? What do you think? Will Sofhia be able to change for good? Or will she struggle with her old habits? And so, the story continues, with Sofhia holding her beloved Billy close, determined to do what it takes to keep her best friend by her side. But life doesn't always make it easy to break old habits. In the days that followed, Sofhia worked hard to keep the promise she'd made to her parents. She did her homework, kept her room tidy, and looked after Billy with care, as though trying to make up for every time she had blamed him. But deep down, the fear of losing her best friend still lingered, like a shadow following her wherever she went. Yet sometimes, life tests us in ways we don't expect. One crisp autumn afternoon, Sofhia and Billy were playing at the park near their house, as they often did. The air was cool, and leaves painted the ground with warm shades of red and orange. Billy darted happily among the trees, and Sofhia watched him with a smile, grateful for every moment together. But then, something happened. Billy spotted a squirrel and, in an instant, took off in pursuit. Sofhia shouted his name, but Billy was so focused on the chase that he didn't hear her. Within seconds, he disappeared into the trees, farther and farther from her sight. "Billy!" she called, panic rising in her chest, running after him as fast as she could. But Billy was gone. Sofhia searched frantically, calling his name over and over. She asked everyone she saw if they had seen a small, scruffy dog with bright eyes running through the park. But nobody had seen him. As the sun began to set, the once familiar park now felt enormous and frightening. As the chill of the evening crept in, Sofhia felt a hollow emptiness settle inside her. She had never felt so alone. Billy had always been her companion, her confidant, and now he was lost, somewhere out there in the dark. Tears filled her eyes as she realized just how much he meant to her, and how all the excuses she'd given at school felt meaningless compared to the aching emptiness she felt now. Hours passed. Sofhia's family, learning of Billy's disappearance, joined the search. Her parents held her tightly, trying to comfort her in her despair as they called out for Billy across the park. But he was nowhere to be found. Time seemed to slow, each minute bringing a new fear. Was he hurt? Could he find his way back home? In that moment, Sofhia felt the weight of her actions. She remembered all the times she'd used Billy as an excuse, all the lies she'd told, and how he had trusted her completely, without question. And now, he was out there somewhere, alone, and she had no idea how to bring him back. Will Sofhia find Billy before it's too late? Is he safe, or has fate prepared an even harder lesson for them? The story continues, with Sofhia in a journey of regret and desperation as the darkness of night hides the whereabouts of her loyal friend. As the night deepened, Sofhia felt the weight of her guilt and sadness pressing down on her. The park was nearly empty, with only the occasional rustling of leaves in the cold, quiet air. Sofhia could barely see a few feet ahead, but she kept calling, her voice hoarse and her heart heavy. Just when she was beginning to feel completely defeated, she heard a faint rustling from a nearby bush. She stopped, barely breathing, as a small shape emerged from the shadows. There, standing with a slight limp and covered in dirt, was Billy. His eyes looked up at her with a mixture of exhaustion and joy, his tail giving a small, hopeful wag. "Billy!" Sofhia cried out, tears streaming down her face as she ran to him. She dropped to her knees and wrapped her arms around him, holding him as if she'd never let go. Billy, despite the ordeal he had been through, seemed only happy to be back with her. He licked her cheek gently, as if to say, "I forgive you, I'm here now." It was as if he understood everything without a single word spoken. For the first time, Sofhia truly understood how much Billy meant to her, how he was more than just a pet, he was her loyal, irreplaceable friend. The walk home felt like a journey of redemption. Sofhia held Billy tightly, feeling the warmth of his small body against her own, as if that warmth could somehow make up for everything that had happened. Her parents, who had been searching nearby, saw her approaching with Billy and rushed to them with relieved smiles and tears of their own. They hugged Sofhia and Billy together, a family united again. Back home, Sofhia gently washed Billy, giving him extra treats and cuddles, grateful that he was safe. And from that night on, Sofhia changed. She no longer needed excuses, no longer blamed Billy, no longer tried to avoid responsibility. Instead, she took every opportunity to show her family, her teachers, and Billy that she had learned her lesson. She did her homework diligently and never again used her friend as a scapegoat. Every day after school, she played with Billy, taking him on long walks, giving him treats, and making sure he knew how deeply he was loved. In the end, Sofhia learned some powerful lessons from her experience with Billy, lessons that would stay with her forever. Honesty is always the best choice. Sofhia realized that telling the truth was worth far more than any excuse. Lies only build up, making situations worse and causing pain for everyone involved. Take responsibility for your actions. Blaming others may feel easy at first, but it only avoids the real issues. Taking ownership of her choices was a turning point for Sofhia, helping her grow stronger and more dependable. Cherish those you love. Sofhia realized how precious Billy was only when she almost lost him. She learned to appreciate and care for the ones she loved, knowing that true friends, whether human or animal, deserve our loyalty and respect. Trust is a sacred bond. Billy trusted Sofhia completely, without judgment, and she saw how important it was to live up to that trust. Trust can be fragile, but it's also the foundation of a loving friendship. Every choice has consequences. Sofhia understood that every little action, every choice she made, had a ripple effect. The things we do, even when we think they're small or harmless, can deeply impact our lives and the lives of those we care about. And so, Sofhia and Billy's friendship grew even stronger, now rooted in honesty, loyalty, and love. They spent many more days playing, exploring, and simply being there for each other, with Sofhia always keeping these lessons close to her heart. She had made mistakes, but through those mistakes, she had learned the true value of friendship, trust, and the joy of simply being together. And in that, both Sofhia and Billy found a happiness that would stay with them forever. Did you enjoy today's episode? If so, please give the video a like and leave a comment below. Tell me what you learned. Share it with your friends so they can join our adventure too. Also, check out this story here, it's amazing. Trust me,